In this video, let us learn about the limitations of conventional vacuum tubes at microwave frequencies. The reason behind this being why the conventional tubes are not suitable to be used at microwave frequencies. So, the reasons that have been listed out here are lead inductance and interelectrode capacitance, transit angle effects, gain bandwidth product limitations. Now, let us take up the first one. Students, I hope you know what you mean by the lead. Lead is nothing but the terminals which are coming out of the vacuum tube. So, let us talk about a triode here. So, triode means it has three terminals. So, you have a cathode, okay, this terminal is a cathode, okay. You have a plate similar to that of the anode of your diode. Then you have something called as the grid, okay. So, these are the input terminals, the output is tapped at the plate with respect to the cathode. So, what do you understand by this LK? LK is the cathode lead inductance, that means the inductance, that is inductive effect that is offered by the terminal which is coming out of the cathode. Now, why is it so? So, what do you know about a short circuit, or what do you know about a terminal? So, we all consider till now we have been considering that these terminals which are out of any device are simple short circuits. They are so only up to certain frequencies. Beyond certain frequencies, for example, now this, since we are talking about microwave frequencies, at microwave frequencies even a small piece of wire will not be behaving like a short circuit. Meaning to say, as frequency increases, it tends to offer more opposition to the flow of current. So, if you further go into depth of it, that is attributed to something called as skin effect. So, due to skin effect, an ordinary piece of wire which we have been considering it to be working like a short circuit at low frequencies tend to behave like open circuits. As frequency increases, the opposition goes on increasing and current through it reduces. So, this is about this. So, we are considering about the lead inductance at the cathode terminal. Now, R, L and C is the load that is connected, and students, you know that L and C in parallel is called as a tank circuit. Why I am telling you this is because in the further understanding of two cavity klystron, we will be considering something called as a resonant circuit. So, I want you to record from now, get habituated to listen to something called as a resonant circuit. A resonant circuit is nothing but something that has L and C in parallel, okay. So, now let us go to understand the equivalent circuit. So, what do you see here? This is the grid terminal, this is the cathode terminal, okay. In between what I have drawn something called as CGK. What is C? C is capacitance, grid, G stands for the grid, K stands for the cathode. So, we are in the equivalent circuit, you have something as a capacitor. So, to recall your basics, when do you tell that there exists a capacitance? Whenever two conducting media are separated by a dielectric medium, there exists a capacitance. So, what do you understand here? So, you are having a conductor here. You also have a plate like a thing which is behaving like a conductor. The cathode is a conductor, the grid is also a conductor, and since this is enclosed into a vacuum chamber, in between the grid and the cathode there exists vacuum, and vacuum is a dielectric. So, we can very well understand that there exists a capacitance between the grid and the cathode, okay. Two conducting media separated by a dielectric medium, in this context it is vacuum, okay. Now, you have a plate here. So, if this is the plate terminal, please see between the gate and the plate there exists a capacitance, and we call it a CGP, capacitance between the grid and the plate. So, this is a conductor, the plate is a conductor, in between there exists vacuum. So, there again there is a capacitance, okay. So, this part of the thing you are all familiar. The output of a triode works like a constant current source. You are having a constant current source with a resistance in parallel. So, this is pretty obvious, which we have learnt in our undergraduate courses. So, you have LK as it is, you are having a capacitance between the gate and the cathode, you have a capacitance between the gate and the plate. Then this is the equivalent circuit of the plate and the cathode. Then this is the load, whatever was here has come out even here. So, when you do the analysis, okay, there is a small derivation on that. You can look into the textbook and then go through it. See, I will just consider the final equation that is obtained. So what is Zin? You all know Zn is nothing but the input impedance. So you see that input impedance is something 1 divided by a quantity minus j divided. Why this j? So impedance is a complex quantity. You have a real part and an imaginary part. So I hope you know what is omega. Okay. So what is omega? Omega is the angular frequency. So we are talking about frequency. Lk is the lead inductance at the cathode. Cgk, you know, it is a capacitance between the gate and the cathode. What is Gm? Gm is the mutual inductance. So is the case here. Okay. So what do you understand? You see that the input impedance is inversely proportional to the square of the frequencies. In the real part, input impedance is inversely proportional to the square of the frequency. Now what do you mean by that? So when frequency increases, what happens to the input impedance? It will decrease. So is the case even with the imaginary part of it, isn't it? So what if the input impedance decreases with increase in frequency? The answer is, students, again, in your UG classes, you have understood that any amplifier for that matter should have a high input impedance, should have a low output impedance for proper impedance matching. But then what do you observe here? At high frequencies, the same device which worked very well at low frequencies in the order of megahertz, at high frequencies what happens? The input impedance is reducing with increase in frequency. So according to Ohm's law, if impedance is less, definitely the voltage drop across that will also be less. So if you are giving some input voltage, the one that is conveyed between the gate and the cathode at high frequencies, what happens to it? This input impedance reduces. So when input impedance reduces, the voltage that is conveyed to the vacuum tube is going to be reduced. As a result, if the input that is conveyed to the device is result, obviously the output will also be reduced, and that's why the gain is going to fall with increase in frequency for the vacuum tube. So if you all remember, you must have come across such a response, isn't it? So in your amplifiers, whenever you have drawn frequency response for amplifiers, you have seen that with increase in frequency, initially the gain is increasing, remains a constant, and decreases in frequency. So what is attributed to the fall of gain at low frequencies? Again, why should we talk about falling of gain as frequency changes? See students, we all remember that for an ideal amplifier, we always expect the bandwidth to be infinite. That means any frequency ranging from 0 to infinity, the gain has to be constant. But of course, that is not going to happen in reality. But then let us try to understand why the fall of gain is happening at low frequencies. This is because of the input coupling capacitors and the bypass capacitors. Okay. Then why the gain is falling off at high frequencies? This is because of inter-electrode capacitances. So that's what I told you now. As frequency increases, what happens? These devices which were tending to behave like open circuits at low frequencies, isn't it? You know, capacitances, as frequency increases, their opposition decreases. At low frequencies, their opposition is large. So output voltage will also be large. But as frequency increases, these inter-electrode capacitances tends to offer a low impedance. When the impedance falls, definitely the output voltage will also fall. So we must understand that if you want to eliminate inter-electrode capacitance, what you have to do? You have to remove the cathode, right, the plate, and that. Is that possible? We cannot be removing the active device which is responsible for amplification. So some other alternate method has to be found out, so that this kind of a response is going to extend even at microwave frequencies. So I hope it's understandable. So if we want to reduce the inductive effect and the capacitive effect, we have to reduce Lk and Cgk, isn't it? So if we want to reduce inductance, what can happen? You all know that the inductance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. So if the length of the conductor is reduced, inductance will reduce. So if inductance reduces, you have seen that the input impedance will increase. So what happens if inductance is reduced, input impedance increases. Though with increase in frequency Zn is decreasing, if you reduce Lk by reducing the length, Zin can increase, so that your fall of gain at high frequencies can be under control to some extent. Not only Lk, even if Cgk is reduced, even then Zn will increase. So we cannot do anything about omega. We want to work at microwave frequencies. This we cannot handle, or we cannot find an alternative for that. All that we can do is we can increase Zn by decreasing Lk and by decreasing Cgk. Now let us see what are the factors. If you remember in your class 12 or PU, what does Cgk depends upon? So on what factors that capacitance depends upon? It depends upon the area of the plates and the distance between the two plates. Okay. So what do I want? I want to decrease capacitance to increase Zn, as we have seen in that expression a short while ago. So how to decrease the capacitance? If you want to decrease the capacitance, either we have to increase the distance between the two the grid and the cathode, or we have to decrease the area of cross section. If you decrease the area of cross section, capacitance will decrease, and since Zn is inversely proportional to capacitance, so if capacitance decreases, then Zn will increase. But this can be done only to some extent. So students, we must understand that at high frequencies the power is also going to be a consideration. When you make area small, what happens to the size of the device? The size of the device is also going to reduce it's also going to become small. So small devices, small areas are capable of handling only low power. So that becomes a very big limitation for vacuum tubes to be used at microwave frequencies.